Shalom. Bahasham Atha. This is the soldier Hamal of LOZ Augusta, Georgia, under priest Kahan and minister Solomon of the Light of Zion. Now, today's video is about love, right? We're going to go ahead and start off with the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 17. All right. This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of Hamashiach Yahawashi, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father by Him, right? So this is a scripture we always open up to every time we're giving, thanks, honor, glory to the Most High. We always do it in the name of Hamashiach Yahawashi, always. All right. Let's go ahead and start off with Matthew chapter 22. Let me go ahead and share it up on my screen real quickly. 1 second. All right. This is going to be the book of Matthew chapter 22, verse 34. All right, let's start at verse 34. But when the Pharisees had heard that ye had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Yahawashi answered and said unto him, Thou shalt love the Most High thy power with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, right? So what is required from us? How do we show the Most High that we love him, right? Let's go ahead and get to book John, 2 John, chapter 1, verse 6. Just real quickly. See, 2 John, chapter 1, verse 6. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments, right? So this is telling us what love is. Love is walking through the Most High's commandment, right? To continue, this is the commandment that as ye have heard from the beginning, ye shall walk in it, right? Those was the same commandments given in the Old Testament, right? The law of Moses. We was given these commandments to follow. It's the same commandments, right? Because Christians love to say, these old commandments don't apply today, right? Or they say Yahawashi came and took away some commandments. No, those are the same commandments since the very beginning. All right. Another precept. Let's go ahead and get to book 1 John chapter 5, verse 3. 1 John chapter 5, verse 3. For this is the love of the Most High, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. Right? This is straightforward right here. The love of the Most High is keeping his commandments. And his commandments isn't grievous, meaning it isn't hard to keep. All right, to continue, right? Actually, let me just pull out one more precept. This is the book of Psyria. Let's get the book of Ecclesiasticus, right? Chapter 2, verse 16. All right. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, or Psyria, chapter 2, verse 16. They that fear the Most High will seek that which is well-pleasing unto him, and they that love him shall be filled with the law. Yeah, you should be filled with the law, because if you're keeping the commandments, right, if you love the Most High, you'll be doing the commandments. So you'll be filled with the law, right? That's what the love of the Most High is. So let's go back to the book of Matthew 22. If you love the Most High, you'll keep his commandments. It's really not that hard. Okay. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 22. And let's start off again at verse 36. Master, which is the great commandment in the law, right? So they ask him, what's the great commandment? And Yahawashi said unto him, thou shalt love the Most High, thy power, with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Meaning, no matter what condition you're in, you should always try and keep the commandments because you love the Most High, right? Whether we're in captivity or not, we do our best to keep his commandments because we're putting our all into it. If you're putting your all into it, you're going to do whatever it takes to obey the Most High, right? This is the first and the great commandment, right? This is literally the first commandment, to love the Most High, right? That's a very great and a big commandment, and that means a lot to the Most High. To continue, verse 39. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, right? The same way I'm out here taking care of myself, I'm showering, I'm keeping the commandments, I'm eating. I would love to see my brothers eat too. I would also love to see my brothers keeping the commandments. Why? Because I love my brothers. It's one of the great commandments to love your brothers. We have to love our brothers no matter what. Right, let me get the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 1. Right, it says, let brotherly love continue. We all came from the mud. When we were getting raped, robbed, murdered, tortured, abused, we were all in this together. And we need to learn how to stick together. We got our own people hating on our own people. They love the other nations more than they love us. Right, let me go ahead and get the book of Hosea chapter 4 real quickly, verse 6. Right? It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I would also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of the Most High, I will also forget thy children. Right? Imagine the Most High loving you so much, and he told you to be a special people, and we stab him in his back. Right? We're not keeping the commandments. We're forgetting about the law. You're not keeping the law. You're not showing the Most High that you love him. Right? So this is an important thing. Imagine this. Imagine the Most High choosing us to be a special people. Right? He could have chose any other nation. He chose us to be his holy people. The only ones who are able to get salvation, everlasting salvation. And this is how we pay him back. Right? We're just going down sad right now. Let me get the book of Ezekiel chapter 2, verse 3. Right? It says, and he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel. Yeah, the Son of Man here is talking about Yahawashi. Right? I send thee to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that have rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. Our forefathers been transgressing against the Most High. Right? Our people breaks the commandment every day. That's not showing the Most High that you love him. Our people break the commandments every day. Every day we're eating pork. Every day we're gunning each other down, smoking, taking drugs. We have an LGBTQ community being pushed into our people. Israel needs to wake up. If you get on social media a lot, you'll see that a lot of our people have God first in their bio. with an OnlyFans link right beside it. You can't say you love the Most High and do things like this. Right? This place is going down bad. If you love the Most High, you got to show it by keeping His commandments. Right? This is the book of John chapter 14, verse 15. The book of John chapter 14, verse 15. It says, if you love me, keep my commandments. It's that simple. If you love the Most High, you're going to keep His commandments. Right? All right, let's get back to the book of Matthew. Book of Matthew chapter 22. You got to show it through your actions that you love the Most High. You can't just say, anybody could say they love the Most High. He is our God, right? He is our God. Any other nation, the Moabites, the Edomites, the Hamites, the Ammonites, anybody could say they love the Most High. That doesn't really mean nothing if you're not keeping the commandments, if you're not showing it through your actions. Right? So let's go ahead and go back to the book of Matthew. All right, in verse 40. On these two commandments, Salakia, verse 38. This is the first and great commandments. That was talking about loving the Most High. And the second, just like we love ourselves, right? And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Right? We should love our neighbors like we love ourselves. Right? We need if you see a brother going off, you need to help him out. Let him know he's going off. That's out of love. You don't want to see our people fall. We got to love one another. And that's what our people fail to do. What we do a lot, we gang bang. Blood versus crit. Start shooting at each other. Killing each other. That's going off. We're already getting gunned down by the so-called white men. Them Edomites. We're already getting gunned down by Esau and the cops. We're just adding more pressure. We're just adding more weight. Because we're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? I see a lot of our people, right? We doing the Black Lives Matter movement. Right? We go to the people shooting us and beg them for mercy. We go ahead and we beg the people that's shooting us down to stop shooting us for mercy, for equality, right? Not knowing who y'all is. Our people is destroyed with lack of knowledge. We go to them instead of keeping the commandments. Right? Let me go back to the book of Matthew. Salaki. And the second is like unto it. This is verse 39. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Verse 40. On these two commandments hang all the law and all the prophets. If you're not loving your brother, yourself, all your brothers and your sisters, if you're not loving the nation of Israel, right? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, if we're not loving each other, we're going off. That's one of the greatest commandments, to love yourself just like you love your neighbor. Right? And you also have to love the Most High, and you show it by keeping His commandments. It's through action you show it. You can't say, anybody could just say they love the Most High. You're going to have to show it. The Most High loves us. He chose us to be above all nations. Let me get that actually in Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. Let me get that. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Most High thy power. The Most High thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto Himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Right? He chose us to be above all nations. And what we do, We transgress the law. And now look where we at. Just because we don't want to keep the commandments, just because we don't want to love him back, we're below every single body. We're below every single nation. The so-called Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans. We don't know how holy we are. We are really special. Right? A lot of people, they would disagree with this. They would tell you the Most High deals with every single nation. He's not dealing with other nations. Right, let me get book of Sirach real quickly. Book of Sirach, chapter 17, verse 17 to prove it. Right, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 17, verse 17. For in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people. But Israel is the Lord's portion. It didn't say everybody. It said Israel is the Lord's portion. We need to know who we are and wake up. Keep the law, statutes, and commandments. We need to go back to the Most High. We need to go back to fearing the Most High. Our people need to wake up. So let me let's go ahead and get that, because go ahead and go to the book of John, chapter 3, verse 16. John chapter 3, verse 16. All right, this is the book of John, chapter 3, verse 16. For the Most High so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish, but have an everlasting life. All right, so let's go ahead and read this slowly. For God so loved the world, right? So to begin with, who is he the God of? But because that's like a Christian's favorite scripture to prove that he's dealing with everybody. He loved everybody. Who is he the God of to begin with? Right? Let's get that Luke chapter 1, verse 68. Book of Luke chapter 1, verse 68, right? And it says, blessed be the Most High, God of Israel. Right? So he is the God of Israel. He's the power of Israel. It didn't say everybody, it said Israel. Right? So blessed be the Most High, God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people. Again, it says his people. It did not say everybody. So he is the God of Israel. Right? Let's go ahead and prove that again with Joel chapter 2, verse 27. Joel chapter 2, verse 27. Got it wrong. All right, this is the book of Joel chapter 2, verse 27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel. Again, he said he is in the midst of Israel. Nowhere here does it say everybody. You would find nowhere in the Bible would you find that he's the God of everybody. It's only saying Israel. Right? It says it all throughout the Bible. So it says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Most High your power, and none else. Again, he said none else. He said, I am the Most High your power. And he's talking about Israel and none else. Right? And my people shall never be ashamed. And we should never be ashamed about this. The Most High chose us to be a special people among all people, above all nations. Right, let's go ahead and go back to the book of John, 3, verse 16. All right, let's read this slowly. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Right? And what does he mean over here by world? Because that's another thing. World could also mean nation. It can world could be anything, right? We've been called the world before, right? Let's get the book of Psalms chapter 90, verse 2, because it would come here and say, look, he loves everybody. It says it right here. We got to break that down, right? Because that's a Christian favorite scripture right here, right? This is the book of Psalms chapter 90, verse 2. Before the mountains were brought forth, wherever thou hast formed the earth and the world, right? Even from everlasting to everlasting, thou art Yahawah, right? So as you can see, earth and world is not the same thing over here, right? This one's talking about the nation of Israel. And we can get down to Isaiah chapter 45, verse 17. Let's get that. But Israel shall be saved into the Most High with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed, nor confounded, world without end. That's Israel being called the world, right? So the Most High, if you go back to John 3:16, right? So let's just go ahead and fill in what we got so far, right? So John 3:16, for the Most High, who is the God of Israel, so loved the world, right, which is the nation, which was Israel was called, who was called the world before. So he loved us so much that he gave his only begotten son, which is Yahawashi, right? That whosoever believe in him should not perish but have an everlasting life. And when he's saying whosoever over here, he is talking about whoever within the nation of Israel. He's not talking about everybody. He's talking about within the nation of Israel, right? So yeah, love is an action. You have to keep the commandments to show the Most High that you love him. If you're not keeping his commandments, you're not showing him that you love him. You're transgressing the law. Right? If you keep the commandments, the Most High will bless you. This is how you love the Most High. You would have to show it. Right? So that was just a quick breakdown on love. Stop sharing my screen. All right, come on. This was a quick breakdown on love because a lot of people say they love the Most High, but they're not keeping the commandments. Keeping the commandments is one of the greatest commandments. Loving the Most High is one of the greatest commandments. Loving yourself like you love your neighbor is one of the greatest commandments. And the Most High, he loves Israel. He's only dealing with Israel, right? Our blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Our so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we need to wake up and start keeping the commandments again, right? And that's the end of the session. Without being said, again, I'd like to give all praises to Yahawashi and Yahawashi. And until next time, Shalom.